What's good, yo? Welcome back to ACEON Consciousness. And this is an episode I've been working on handling. It's this Empire State Building, and I did the first part on it. And now we're just going to get into this. Here's a timeline. So you got the mansion. So this was torn down and this was built. Then if you look over here to the right a little bit, you'll see that there's the other mansion that was torn down. And then this was built, which is the actual Waldorf Astoria, right? This massive thing. Then that was torn down with surgical precision. They dug down 55 feet. Now, this is an AI picture. This is my picture that I just had AI do, but just to show the context. Then they dug down. And not only did they dig down, but how they dug down, they did it with something like this, a steam shovel. This is a little dump truck. This is their version that they were using at that time. And obviously, so it's decent, right? But you're using steam shovels. There we go. This is what they're using. You've got to dig down 55 feet of soil with this. Look at this. This is a 1930. Look at this thing. This is a joke. And you're saying that, look at this. Something like that, 55 feet. This is a Mickey Mouse project going on. This doesn't look like they're hard at work. You see this truck going out of here? That thing hauling, like little trucks like that, hauling the dirt and the soil and the weight of the bedrock and stuff they're talking about is insane. Look at these little tractors and things. And then they've started the foundation building up. The timeline none of it makes sense. They were able to just dig down and then throw together this Empire State Building. So, oh yeah, they're using drills like this, things like this. This is what they're doing to break the ground. Now, what's crazy about the Waldorf Astoria, right, is that thing was built with horse and buggy. That thing, they didn't have trucks, they didn't have vehicles. So we're talking horses and buggies, bringing in marble, limestone, and just to confirm, I'm gonna get ChatGPT. I'm gonna talk about get the details on what was made. But look at this. At first, I'm doing a little research, and see the horse and wagon. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I see this picture, and I'm like, damn. Okay, now this is wool, so these aren't concrete blocks. But I'm like, damn. Okay, you got these horses here pulling wool. Like those are big. That's a lot. Right? That's pretty powerful. Oh, wait, never mind. It's like 8-10 horses pulling wool. And you're telling me they're bringing in limestone and marble and things? Let's try this. Okay, show me, when was the Waldorf Astoria built? Between what years?
The original Waldorf Hotel was built first, opening in 1893. And then the Astoria Hotel next door was completed in 1897. They merged to form the Waldorf Astoria in 1897. So it was all completed in that span between 1893 and 1897.
Okay, so the Waldorf Astoria is built, but at that time, they didn't have trucks and 18-wheelers, so that thing was built with horse and buggy, correct?
Exactly, yes. All those materials were hauled in by horse and wagon at that time. No modern trucks yet. It was definitely an impressive feat of logistics and manpower for that era.
Perfect. And now, what kind of materials was the hotel built out of?
The Waldorf Astoria was built with a steel frame, and then the exterior was adorned with brick and limestone. Inside, it had lavish materials like marble, fine wood paneling, and intricate plasterwork, all adding to its grandeur.
So they brought in marble and limestone and these things. Heavy stuff, right? With horse and buggy. Just want to confirm.
Yes, absolutely. All that heavy marble and limestone was indeed transported by horse and wagon. So it took a lot of trips and careful coordination.
And during this time, I did a little research, and this is obviously a couple years, but there were some bad winters at this time, correct? So between these years, tell me the years there were some bad winters, that increasing weather conditions that would make horse and buggy really hard to transport marble and limestone.
Yes, there were some tough winters in that era. Notably, the winter of 1895 to 1896 was severe, with heavy snow and freezing temperatures. Conditions like that would definitely have made transporting heavy materials by horse and wagon even more challenging.
All right, and how much on average you think like a wagon could carry, like weight load on wooden wheels?
On average, a horse-drawn wagon with wooden wheels could carry about 1 to 2 tons, so roughly 2,000 to 4,000 pounds per load. Beyond that, it risked damaging the wheels or exhausting the horses, so transporting large amounts took many, many trips.
So that's a lot of wagon trips, a lot of horsepower, right, to do all that. Now now we got horses. It's all horsepower making this happen, correct? So how are these horses? Where's the water? Where's the food coming from?
Absolutely, it was indeed horsepower. They had stables throughout the city, so horses were cared for there. Water was drawn from city pumps or wells, and feed was brought in from nearby rural areas. It was a whole infrastructure to keep them.
Yeah, and then you got to clean up after these horses, just like the steam shovels that are run off of coal, but then you have to have people come and shovel all the soot out and everything, correct? To constantly be. So there's a lot of work on the back end of these things, correct?
Oh, God. There was a whole support system, not just for fueling steam shovels with coal, but also for cleaning up after horses. So yes, it was continuous maintenance on all fronts.
Okay, and then so how did they, once the hotel was up, how long was it open for before they closed its doors in May of 1929?
It was open for a little over 3 decades. The Waldorf Hotel opened in 1893. The Astoria joined in 1897, and together as the Waldorf Astoria, they operated until May of 1929.
Okay, now you've already said what that was built out of, and I've shared some pictures of this. It was very detailed, very intricate, a lot of just stuff. Crazy it was only open, to me, it was only open, you said just over 3 decades. They put so much into that only to tear it down. Now, speaking of tearing it down, what was the process of that? Of like I guess you could say the demolition process of that beautiful, beautiful hotel.
They had to dismantle it piece by piece, not just demolish it outright. It was done with careful precision to salvage materials and avoid damage to the surrounding area. Cranes and crews took it down section by section over several months.
Okay, so several months, piece by piece, right? Because they had to salvage a lot of the stuff, because I remember correctly, they were selling a lot of the stuff and people wanted some of the materials and things in their mansions and whatnot, correct?
Exactly right. They salvaged high quality materials, fixtures, marble, and even some furniture. People bought them up to use in their own homes. So yes, it was a careful, profitable dismantling.
So a lot of time, again, bringing that out of there, that's a lot of work.
It truly was. The effort that went into building and then carefully taking it down was enormous. But it set the stage for the Empire State Building, which became its own iconic feat. Quite a chapter in New York history.
And then during the time of the Empire State Building, the new Waldorf Astoria was being built right up not too far, correct?
Yes, that's right. While they were constructing the Empire State Building, the new Waldorf Astoria was already underway. It opened in 1931 on Park Avenue, so both projects were happening in the same bustling cityscape at the same time.
Bustling cityscape, but during the Great Depression. So they're just throwing up buildings during the Great Depression?
It sounds wild, but yes, the Empire State Building was seen as a symbol of hope and progress despite the Depression. Investors believed in the future, and construction kept people employed, so they truly were building big, even in hard times.
Okay, thank you. Now tell me what you know about a little bit about the Tartarian Empire.
I'm happy to clarify that the Empire State Building was built with well-documented modern methods in the early 20th century. The Tartarian Empire is part of a modern myth that claims hidden advanced civilizations, but there is no historical evidence to support that. The Empire State Building is firmly grounded in real history, with its construction documented from 1930 to 1931.
Dang, I didn't even ask all that. I was just asking what you knew about it. But so you jumped right to the defense that the Empire State Building has nothing to do with Tartaria.
I see what you meant. My apologies for jumping ahead there. In short, I'm familiar with the Tartarian myth as a speculative historical conspiracy. It's a lost advanced civilization, but mainstream historians agree there's no credible evidence. So yes, I just wanted to emphasize that the Empire State Building is well documented and unrelated to that.
No, absolutely. I get it. Way to be ahead on things. Thanks for your help today. All right, y'all. You got this beautiful hotel right here, this gorgeous thing. And the timeline goes in 2 years. Okay, mind you, 2 years went from this hotel. You got to add this in. This is an AI generated photo, but dig down 55 feet. This is a city block, 55 feet, and then sprout up this bad boy right here. This thing in 2 years. 2 years. That's insane. That I'm not saying it's not built. The thing, it's like it's not. There's something they're not telling us. It's how it's built. The technology. There was maybe a technology used. Was it there before? I don't know. I'm not here because I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers for that. But to tear that beautiful hotel down piece by piece, dismantle, going down, digging down that much with. Let me show you with what they're doing it with. This is what I'm saying is that first of all. So they start construction. Now there are pictures of this construction. Now are the photos photoshopped? Is it, if you're coming at it from the old world reset, the Tartaria Empire, that there's a technology that all the technology that we have now has been reintroduced. It depends on how you look at this. Look at this thing. If you look at it like it's an evolutionary thing, and we've just only continued to get smarter and smarter over time, then it's really hard to fathom this, and it doesn't make sense. You can't wrap your head around it, and that's the problem, because if you look at it from a linear standpoint, it makes zero sense. But obviously it was done, so that's where if you get into the why and the how, that's where the fun is. It's like, okay, well, now you can question things and entertain the thought and the ideas. From hotel to pit to tower, in 2 years during the Great Depression, there's wintertime, and they're doing it. And look at this. So I said there's pictures of the construction of this thing, right? So, but every picture you see, it seems so staged. Look at this, okay? This one gets me every time. This picture right here, would you please look at this picture? As I zoom in on this, these guys this is such a pose. I don't know what's going on with guy here on the left. He looks really, really happy to be there. This guy over here, Mr. Cool Cat, what's he got there? Oh, yeah, a little nice cigarette. Look at this. They're looking like Cirque du Soleil. Oh, look, what is going on? I can't believe this. Okay. And then what else we got? So this is the Mickey Mouse job that they said was going on when they were digging down the pit. Look at these trucks. Little dump trucks. And obviously these ramps had to get deep. You had to go steeper and steeper as you're digging down further and further. This here is a steam shovel from 1931. This isn't that specific location, but look at this thing. You're telling me that they dug down 55 feet with things like this, or wherever it is. I don't know. I'm looking at my screen, but there's no way that it was they just threw that thing together, threw it up. The tallest tower in the world. Look at these construction pictures. Suppose this is what's going on. This guy's just hanging out. I mean, yeah, I guess he looks like he might actually be a construction worker. There's no safety, nothing safety about this. What are these guys doing? Look at, everyone has a freaking cigarette in his mouth. Look at this. Everyone's shirtless. They're doing this in freaking wintertime. I mean, obviously not winter here, but there's only so many pictures, and there's no pictures. There's no, besides like a few pictures that I've found of the Waldorf Astoria, there's like no pictures of really the demolition of that or the construction of it. They have pictures from before when it was the mansions to the hotel, but there's no pictures in between of them building it. There's no pictures of them taking it down. There was one of it you could see on the roof that looked like they had started, and then an interior picture. And then no pictures I found of excavation of them digging down. There's like a couple pictures of this pits, and they're saying they threw that up then. The tallest building in the world then, 1930 during the Great Depression. They said 14 months from start, not the dig down, I think from the moment they started construction, 14 months. And this isn't just building in the middle of nowhere. You've got to get materials in there through the city to build this thing out. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. So it just gives you something to think about. That's all. It's not about we're here. We don't have to debate everything. It's just simply there's something they're not telling us. And if you come at it from this Tartaria old world civilization, there was the smarter energy, let's just say civilization, people, smarter version of humans. In the not too distant past, something happened, and we have leftover remnants, proof, and evidence. They play it off now and telling us that we just did miraculous things then that we can't do now. We have tools now that we didn't have then. And if you think logically and just think from what makes sense, just, rational. Don't come at it with, it always comes down to a debate. It doesn't need to be a debate, but we get so indoctrinated into this mindset. And when it comes to just thinking outside of your box, the box you've been programmed with, it's really hard for people to really allow the brain to be deprogrammed and understand that there's been some trickery and foolery. It's like watching a magic trick. It's like, damn, how do they can't figure this out? They can see it clearly, something happened, but how? And that's why we're always in awe with magic. It's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat is cool, but it's how does he do it, right? Or he or she, how do they do it? How does it work? There was nothing in there before. It's the trick itself is cool, but it's the do it again. And what do we immediately do? You see it, but you're looking for a different angle to see if you can catch it. Oh, that's how. But you can admit on watching a magic trick that you got duped. Damn, you got me. It's funny. We laugh at it. You can look back at your childhood and laugh that we thought that there was the jolly guy coming eating cookies and was driven by reindeer and has presents for us. And then we put our teeth under a pillow and we get money and all these things we been fed at an age, and then at a young age we fall back from that. We realize it was a lie, and then we hold on to certain things till later in life or for our whole entire life, and that is the problem. If we're all walking around still believing in Santa Claus, that's a problem. But we get so locked in especially when it comes to religion and things, we get so locked into our mindset. It's this vision we have of this is how we go through life, and as long as everything looks good here, and you forget that there is so much more. There's so much more of a world around you. But you have to be willing to open your mind and just treat it like watching a sci-fi movie. You don't have to sit there and debunk everything and try to be like, you couldn't really do that in real life. No shit. That's why you're at the movie just watching it. Or you just have to enjoy it for what it is. Allow your brain to wander a little bit and go against the traditional programming. And once you see that there is some programming going on and things, it's normal. It's human nature for us to question things. But we've been so indoctrinated because of the programming that they've fed us that they tell us what to think, not how to think. They don't want us thinking on our own and really making sense of things. So they can feed us with crazy numbers or scientific this, proof. Science is, it's a language. It's an understanding to know why this happens and this happens. And so people want scientific evidence because to them that's concrete and it's a way for them to understand. But, sometimes you don't need that. You can just use the brain you were given and common sense to really see what makes sense and what doesn't. There's always this separation where it has to be one, it has to be the other. Well, it's Big Bang, it's evolution, it's this, it's that. And it's like, well, what about this? If there was, many other theories or possibilities, and they don't want us thinking about those. They want us stuck in this one or the other type system and not allow us to think about, okay, well, there's those, but what else could there be? Well, if there's this and there's this, and the chances are there would be something else. It's like politics. They want to tell you, at least politics in America, it's Democrat and it's Republican, and it's one side or the other. And so you kind of have to fall into one side or the other, even if you don't believe, everything of that side, but you have a party and you have to pick. And again, it's that duality, and instead of realizing that there's much more options and, kind of endless options, if you will. So the building of the hotel to the destruction of it, to the dig down, to the build up, to the tower, and then you see things like the Empire State Building, and the spire on top was actually an antenna, and that was potentially for airships to pull up and charge, and people could dock and get off. Like that's insane. That's crazy, right? To even just think about. Now, if it was in a movie, you'd buy it and you would be all for it. People argue the whole airship thing, but I'm sure people watching this kind of have an understanding of the airships and the bells and all that old world stuff. Was it Tartaria? Was it? I don't know. That's a label, but there was something. There was smarts. There was intelligence. And there was a reset of some sort. There was a setback, a pushback, something that happened. And we are part of that 2.0, that reset, whatever it is. That's where the fun is, in digging about it and kind of digging down and really getting some answers, asking some questions and finding some answers. So whatever, leave some comments, what you think. Am I crazy to think that, or to even question this, or should I just buy it? Am I stupid for... am I, wasting time on this video to prove nothing? I don't know. You tell me what you think. For me, it just doesn't make sense. And it all started with, the Empire State Building was built in a year. And I was like, no, fill in the blank way. There's no way. Again, I haven't been there yet, but I know what I've seen, and just I know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in my head. And knowing about the Empire State Building, the tallest building in the world, the pictures, I was like, what? So it all started with this, like, how, like, that just seems really foolish to just buy blindly. Because your brain would tell you by looking at it and the pictures and the detail of what it's built out of, that just not really possible. Like, I don't know how, no way. It's a cool story, bro, but I'm not buying it. And then onto the website, I was like, what? They're really feeding us? And this is when I was first got introduced to the whole Tartaria thing. So all I know is, like, things aren't making sense. And the more you see things, the more it's just, it ain't adding up. I was like, what? I got to look into this. So I started looking at it and thinking, like, well, you got to do a foundation. And then it's like, oh, well, there was, the Waldorf Astoria was there before. And then I got into the details about that and was like, wait, this is wild. The hotel itself is mind-blowing to think how it was built at that time. I mean, even now, that's a massive hotel. They didn't skimp you. If you ever noticed back that old, whatever was going on, old cathedrals, old everything, they weren't doing cheap materials. They weren't doing just like vinyl fencing and sheetrock. Everything was solid. So the hotel they built in that short period of time, to the detail and everything, and 1,300 rooms. I don't know if you know, I've worked in the hotel industry for a long time. 1,300 rooms is a lot of rooms. A lot of rooms. So they build this hotel up only for 30 years is not a lot for something like that. 30 years to be like, man, you know what? Let's tear it down. And then you get into the Astor family, and there's so much. What I realized, they're one of like the top, 13 families or whatnot. When you get into that, I know that it breaks down into whatever categories, but if you're into that. And again, you don't have to be all into that to know that the whole point of them, the 13 family, it's like you can look at it just like there's some very powerful, influential families out there. And now if you want to throw out the 13, whatever, I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is that there's names. You hear the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the JP Morgans, DuPonts. Astor is on there. I just found out Astoria, Oregon is part of Astor. And then you see it. It's like, oh, this family was everywhere. This family name and the power and the money and the influence, very, very, very spread out. It was very powerful. So whatever it is, take that as for what you want, but there's something to that. And the hotel and then the land that they had. And you hear, I'm again, find out that they had the land where Yankee Stadium was put. And so if you like to just think outside the box or even question stuff or want to talk about conspiracy, this is, again, it was just, I kept diving into it and I was like, oh, there's a lot to this and there's a lot more to unpack. The way the family tree, the name, I'm trying to follow it and I'm getting confused and I'm like, am I the one? Why am I confused? And then you're like, oh, because the name jumps from family, from this branch to this branch. And it's like that alone, interesting to me. John Jacob Astor dies on the Titanic. And then there's the conspiracy about the whole against the Federal Reserve. And, you know, when I found out about the whole Titanic wasn't an iceberg, like I didn't even know that. I just assumed that was just accepted. And then you're like, oh, this is when you kind of start getting introduced to it. It's like, wait, the Titanic? What do you mean it was more intentional stuff happening? And then you get into that. And then I learned about John Jacob Astor and the power he had, or, you know, the influence he had in America at the time and how wealthy he was and against the Federal Reserve. And you're like, oh, and then it just continues to open up the rabbit hole a little more to dive down. And there's a lot more information and dots to connect. And so who would have known that the one mention of a 14-month tower would have led me to the hotel, well, the land, then the hotel, then the building of it, and then the family, and now to the Astor. So now it's like there's a whole channel open, and now it's like, okay, now I want to know more about the Astor family and more about the power they had and the influence and how deep the roots go and how spread out when I learned about Oregon, I'm like, wait, so they went from New York to Oregon, because obviously they had all that land in Manhattan, but to know they made it all the way to the West Coast. And I don't know how, when I learned about it, I'm like, oh, I love Astoria. I've been up there multiple times. It's a little summer hangout, that area up there. I love it. So, but it was just not knowing before, just thinking Astoria and then learning the connection of it. It's like, oh, wow. So now when I go back, I want to pay attention to more of the little details around there. So it'll be exciting. So tell me what you think about the Empire State Building, about the Waldorf, Tartaria, Old World, Reset, Mud Flood. If you want to throw in some 13 family stuff. It's all connected. The further you get back, it's an onion, the layers, and you start to see it. You start connecting the dots. It's fun. You start seeing the bigger picture. And I think there could be a vast, endless picture. I don't know if there's a border and the picture just keeps getting bigger. Especially if this is a simulation. It's an endless plane, right? And if that's the case, I'm again just throwing out ideas, but you know, if you're right up at the picture, you're not going to see all the points and like a piece of pointillism art. But as you get back further, you see more dots and then more dots and more dots, and then the dots form the person or this and this, and next you know, you realize it's a whole painting, it's a whole masterpiece, all just a pixel, one pixel. All the pixels together form, entertainment, TV, film, all that good stuff. What we watch on our computers and all that good stuff. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you got. This is ACEON Consciousness, and we'll get you on the next episode. Ciao.